Right, I'm going to put this together as just like sort of one job, because it's going to be one job at a time at the moment. Right, I've installed a clutch cable. As you can see, it's not tied in, and it's anyway, that's done. But I can't disengage the clutch. Now, this bike's been stood for several years, and I think the plates are all stuck together. So what happens is when I try and spin the shaft in neutral on that side, I can't spin it, it just stays like it's in gear. Put it in gear, it's still, obviously that's when it's supposed to be locked. Take it out of gear, I still can't get it to spin when it's in neutral. When I did ride this bike, I've only ridden this bike once when I first got it. I had to let the clutch lever right out before the thing bit, so that's telling me this clutch is worn. Okay, now I could start the bike up, run it, bang it into gear, take it out of gear, bang it into gear several times, and that might loosen a couple of plates, but it may not loosen all of them. So I think the best bet is to take this cover off, take the clutch out, measure it, have a look at it, see what sort of state it's in. But to do that job, I've got to drain all the oil out, drain all the fluids, all the water out, so all the fluids have got to come out. Take this cable off, take this frame spar thing off, and then get into there. So that is my next job. That's what I'm going to do next, and then I'll carry on this video showing you the stages and how I'm getting on and where I'm going with this. Okay. What I have done also is I bought myself a second-hand clutch cable, which arrived today, because with the end pulled in that end and the amount of cable sticking out that end, because I was worried that when I made up this clutch cable, because I've soldered on the end on here, that maybe I didn't do it right, and maybe I could get away with using an original cable. I've just offered it up. It will reach, but it might be a little bit too short. But what I was thinking of is I could install the original clutch cable, because I know everything's good, the measurements are all correct. But at the end of the day, that lever, I'm pulling it all the way forward, and it's not releasing the clutch. So I think that is the only thing I can do now, is actually do as I just said. So let's crack on. Right, got cover off, got the obviously the fluids drained, tin of oil there, bucket of water there. Right, I'm into the clutch. I've just taken the outside spring bit off the first clutch plate. Now I'm into the nest. So these look like to be pretty stuck together. Yeah, look, that's the first couple off, and they're just stuck together. So I was just, bloody hell, look at that. It looks pretty worn to me, but I'm going to measure it anyway. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these off in order with two hands, and then I'll get back to you about the measurements. Oops. Right, I've measured the grooves using some tyre gauges, and got about 1mm groove on each one. Overall 3mm, but it says the tolerance is 3mm, so it's 3.1, so it should have plenty of life in it. So basically the reason the clutch was working is that every single plate was basically stuck to the one next to it. So the fingers of the basket feel smooth. Can't find any notches or anything, so that's a good sign. So I can just put this clutch back in. Now the gasket is also pretty much intact all the way around, apart from this top edge. I've got about 1.5 inches missing, which is actually on the casing. So basically a bit of gasket maker, and that side panel, what you want to call it, casing, casting, whatever, will go back on, and I should be able to get the clutch to work. So probably won't do that now till the weekend, but we'll wait and see. So that's where we're at so far with the clutch. Right, back to the clutch. Because this clutch has been in situ for years and years, I ordered some new springs. Now, I've measured the springs with me gauge thing, and basically the new springs are 1mm longer than the old springs. So basically it was a good call. I mean, I did measure these, and they are actually they're under the service limit. They're about they should be 34.2, and these are, I think these are something like 33. So they're too short. Get rid of those so I don't install the wrong ones. Right, the actual gasket round this casing stay complete apart from one of the top corners here. So all I'm going to do is basically, using some gasket maker, smear a nice thin all the way around and put it back, and hopefully that will hold. The clutch, I used a brake cleaner, brake cleaner, to actually clean the surfaces of the actual clutch rings, just in case there's any globby bits of like really sticky old oily deposits that was gonna, because basically this whole clutch basket was basically, well, this whole clutch basically was all stuck together, and I had to pry them apart. What I have noticed, I did take them off the bike very, very carefully, and it could have been my own mistake, I don't know, but I found 2 rings together at the front, and I also found 2 clutch plates that should have been separated by a ring together at the back. But I did take this clutch off very, very carefully. You know, I took one ring off at a time and installed it on, on the side hanger, on a bolt, to keep it all in the same order. But I don't know if somebody installed a new clutch and put it around, made a mistake, or if I made a mistake. But putting it back on the bike, it'll be going in, basically fibre disc first, steel plate, fibre disc, steel plate, all the way to the front. I've just worked out my torques, so I'm just going to install this, and then I'm not going to show you installing because it's bloody boring, and then I'll show you in operation, hopefully, that it works. Cheers. Right, I've got the cover back on, got the water and oil back in. I fitted an original clutch cable, which, with the handlebars cranked all the way over to the left, if I was to tie that, that cable there with the adjustment bar, if I was to put that onto the frame like that, it's a little bit tight, but it would suffice. The cable I've made might be a little bit too long, but anyway, we'll look at that later. The good news is I've now got a clutch. Pulled that in, put the bike in gear. See that, but I need 2 hands to do it. But basically, the clutch is now working, which is good news. I'm just going to go out to the shed now and do the next bit. Right, next job is to get this carburetor stripped down and find out why the float, or the jet that blocks for the float bowl, in the float bowl, is not working. Might need a new one, I don't know, so I'm going to strip it down. I need a jug to collect my missus bought me this for a coffee machine, and I'm now going to use it for petrol. Let's see how long it is before I get into trouble. Right, I've got the carb level, and I've hooked up a see-through tube. Now I'm going to fill up with petrol through the hose at the back, and see what level I'll probably put tape over, but see what level the petrol comes up to. It mustn't come above here, because then it means it's going to just flood straight out. I've adjusted the float barrel a little bit by just bending the arm. It is sealing, because like I turn the whole carburetor upside down, blow into it, and it seals. Turn it up the right way, the float drops down, and the air goes through it, so it should work. But let's see. Right, bear with me.